There's ultimately 4 steps that we break this down into. Number 1, to learn the information. Number 2, to review and reinforce along the way. Number 3, to test your knowledge. And number 4, to be confident and prepared. So you've got to take a pre-licensing course. You need to take a pre-licensing course to get your real estate license in Florida. Now, there are a few exemptions to this. One of the exemptions is if you have a 4-year real estate degree, a degree in real estate. So if you have a bachelor's degree in real estate or higher, that would exempt you from this class, but you do still have to take the state exam and pass the state exam. So you don't have to take the pre-licensing course. You would be exempt from this first step, but this same studying process or maybe even these studying tools could definitely benefit you. We've had people with 4-year real estate degrees take our classes and invest in our study tools just because they're not sure they're going to be able to pass this exam. And that's the big difference between Tampa School of Real Estate and what it is that we do versus, going to some big school to get a 4-year degree in real estate. I don't know what we'd teach you for 4 years here. We'd figure something out, but you'd come out of it knowing a lot more than what you'd have with a 4-year real estate degree. But anyways, I digress. You could get your real estate license. You could complete this in as little as 7 days. So this isn't something significant. Now again, if you do have a 4-year real estate degree, you're exempt from that 7-day course. We also have evening schedules if you want to do something at a slower pace, just meeting twice a week. That takes about 8 weeks to go through, but it's just a couple hours a week to go through that one. And again, we have the all-day full-time class, Monday through Sunday, 7 days, and you learn all the information. But now, the tricky part of this, and this isn't just an exam of how smart you are. This isn't a test of your knowledge. This isn't a test of your aptitude. This isn't a test of how clever you are. It's not a test of how good of a test taker you are. It's a test of, do you know the information that's taught in this course? So I've actually got a pre-licensing book right up here. So this book, this is what you're learning in the course. Now, if you're doing our self-paced on-demand program, there's not everything's built into it, but this book follows along with the same curriculum and the same content, and this is like a 600-page book. So there's a lot of information that's required to be taught by the Florida Real Estate Commission. So this is a FREC required course. This isn't just something anybody could offer. We're not just like some like get-rich-quick thing on YouTube to say, hey, come take our real estate investing course and we're going to teach you a bunch about how to invest in real estate, but unless you have the connections and the money and the wherewithal to understand the properties, and then maybe it doesn't work out for you. That's not what we teach you. That's not what we do. We teach actual licensing curriculum content, and then what information you need to use that license to actually make money. That's where post-licensing comes into play. But this initial pre-licensing course, it's again required by the Florida Real Estate Commission, and we have classroom, we have virtual live stream classrooms where you get an instructor basically in your home virtually, and then we also have online self-paced on-demand courses that are not instructor-led, more so if you don't want somebody holding your hand and pulling you through it, you want to go through it at your own pace. That's what that self-paced on-demand program is all about there. And this is the only thing that is required other than passing the exams. There's an end-of-course exam for this one, and there's a state exam. And they're actually multiple-choice exams. They're multiple-choice A, B, C, D. But the scary thing is that statewide, the DBPR does not release statistics by school. I wish they did. I'd be really interested to see that. But statewide, the pass rate for the state exam is usually around 50%, sometimes even lower. Sometimes only like a 49 or 48% pass rate. Is this exam really that difficult? Well, it is if you don't remember the information that you learned in the course. So this information that we're talking about that you're learning in the course here, this is what they're testing you on. This is what the 100 questions are on. And even though it's multiple choice, so A, B, C, D, multiple choice, even though it's multiple choice, there's a correct answer, but then there might be a really good answer, and then there might be just a bad answer, but then maybe there's another really good answer. And even this bad one, maybe it's just irrelevant. Because with this exam, it's very standardized. There's psychometricians, so the people that actually design this exam, their title is a psychometrician. And this is somebody that has a PhD in test design. Kind of crazy, but that's essentially what you're up against. But here's the crazy thing. If you just know this piece right here, if you know the information, you'll be in good shape for this exam. But it's not just about learning the information. That's what you're doing in this pre-licensing course here. That's what you're doing in the pre-licensing course, is you're learning the information. But what you need to be able to do on your exam is remember the information. And so that's where we introduce step number 2 of our pass first try strategy, which is to reinforce along the way. And the best tool we have for automating your studying is this MP3 audio review. It's a 5-hour review. By unit, it's broken down. So you could actually focus on whatever chapters it is you need to focus on. It gives you the percentage on the exam of each unit. And the great part about this is you can actually listen to this on any sort of phone, tablet, anything that's connected to the internet. You can put it on your computer. You could log in at work and put it on your work computer. Again, you just have to log into an online account. It's a very easy to use platform. There's no app to download. You just log in online and you'll be able to access this MP3 audio review and listen to it as many times as you need to. You get 180-day access when you purchase the MP3 audio review or one of the packages through Tampa School Real Estate. So you can go through that as many times as you need to. You've got 6 months, which is, you don't want to wait 6 months to go take and pass your exam here. So the great part about this, though, is I would recommend doing this while you're actually in the class. And that's really and it's not just what I recommend. That's really what the pass first try strategy is, to reinforce along the way. So as you're learning the information, there's 19 units. Let me pull out this book again. I got the book here of the class, the course textbook. This is the current edition. We're about to switch to a new edition in January on this. Not much changes year to year, but there are some new additions and line numbers and whatnot. So whenever you take a class, you definitely want the current version of the book just so you could follow along accurately. But there's 19 units in this book. And some of these chapters, like Unit 19, it's only 1% of your exam. Unit 1 is only 1% of your exam. Unit 5 is 12% of your exam. We've got all these percentages in our MP3 audio review. They're actually right on our website as well. If you just go to the sales page for the MP3 audio review, even if you don't buy the MP3 audio review, you could go find the percentages right there on the page for it. We actually have a demo of this as well. So we're a big believer in, that we have the best study tools available, and something like this I can understand how you could be hesitant. To tell you a more personal story, my wife actually just recently got her real estate license, not so recent now, it was actually back in April, and she's already closed on her first listing, but going into this, she was terrified of this exam. She was saying, I'm not a great test taker, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do this, and she studied. She spent a lot of time studying, but I could really see a lot of the frustration as she was studying. And it's not unique to her, it's anyone, myself included. When I got my real estate license, I was going through the same thing. But if you don't have a firm grasp of these fundamental key points, it's going to be very difficult to answer the questions on the exam. And a lot of times, if you don't remember the key points, you're guessing. Now, the thing is, you probably learned the key points in the class, because that's what you're doing in step 1 in the class, is you're learning this information. You might even took notes on that key point. But just because you took a note on it, are you remembering it? Taking notes is a great way to help you remember things, but it doesn't necessarily guarantee that you'll remember it. So this MP3 audio review, what this allows you to do is, again, help you automate your studying, because you could listen to this, and repetition is the key with this. repetition is really where this is so beneficial, and especially considering that this is only a 5-hour program total. It's taking the 63-hour course content and distilling it down to just a 5-hour condensed review focused on the most essential and important key points that you need to remember. But it's not just about remembering the key points, because the way this exam is structured, it's not just a simple, can you remember this? Do you remember this? Recall this info, recall this info, recall this. It's actually having to apply this information in a situational basis. So that's where step 3 comes in. Step 3 is to test your knowledge. So to test your knowledge, and our study tool that helps you test your knowledge is our question simulator. Our question simulator is a bank of over 700 practice questions written just like the state exam questions, and it actually has detailed explanations after every question. So 700 plus questions. Instant feedback. But it's not just right or wrong. It's detailed explanations. And this is really what makes the question simulator such a powerful tool, is because of those detailed explanations. So with your exam, you want to remember those key points, but then you're going to have a more complex scenario-based question where you have to apply what you remember to that question. And so what a lot of people, the biggest mistake I see people make when they're studying for their exam is they're focused so hard on the questions and the answers and really trying to memorize the answers. That's probably the worst thing that you could do, is memorizing multiple choice answers. I don't care where the source is. You know, we've had a lot of students tell us that they've seen a lot of questions in our simulator that are very similar to what questions they've seen on their state exam. We've had a lot of people pass their state exam using our study tools in our classes. So we've got a really good handle on the information that's important. We have a lot of students that we work with. There's a lot that we pay attention to, that we're really deep in this curriculum. And where our skill really comes out is not overcomplicating this, but simplifying this. And that's what the explanations are there to do, is to take this complex scenario, and rather than focusing on what ones are wrong, because even our questions are similar to the state exam questions, they're not going to be identical. They're not going to be the same wrong answers. And those wrong answers are what are called distractors. That's what the psychometricians actually call the wrong answers. They call them distractors, because they're meant to distract you from the right answer. This isn't, again, just a test of can you just recall, but can you actually apply? And that's what this will do here. The state exam, as well as the end of course exam, is going to test your knowledge. Or you could test yourself before you wreck yourself. Test yourself before you wreck yourself. I think there's a song about that, to test yourself. I don't think it's to test yourself. But anyways, that's step 3. And that question simulator is a really powerful tool. We actually have another demo of that on our website as well. You can actually try it out, try some sample demo questions to see if this is something that would benefit you. I'm going to check out the chat here we've got going on Facebook, see if you guys have any questions. Career nights. Yeah, we do have more career nights in the works here. So we will have one of those coming up. Actually, matter of fact, we haven't officially announced this yet, but for anyone that is interested in getting a real estate license, maybe they're in the process, we're actually doing an introduction to real estate open house here at our headquarters this Friday afternoon at 1 p.m. So 1 p.m. this Friday, we actually have a career intro to real estate. What is real estate? It's really designed for somebody thinking about a career in real estate to come in, meet us in person, and learn more about what this entails, what it is that we offer, our courses, our schedules, our programs, our products, and is this all something that would benefit you? So that's going to be this Friday at 1 p.m. If you're on our email list, you're going to get an email about it. But if you want to attend that, call into our office here to RSVP for that. That's going to be this Friday at 1. So yeah, and we also will have a live stream version of that in the future too, for any of you guys that are not not in the Tampa Bay area. That event is going to be this Friday at our new Tampa office. How's it going, Toby? Yeah, MP3 is definitely a great tool. I've had so many people that have told me that have passed their exam already that will say things like, I still hear your voice in my head saying something like that. What is something? I can't even remember. It's been so long since I've had to listen to this to review it or something like that. And now, matter of fact, when my wife was taking her exam, she didn't want to do the MP3, and that's why we have a demo for this here, so you could really kind of see how this can benefit you. The last thing she wanted to do was the MP3. She's like, no, I don't learn that way. I don't learn through audio. I was like, okay, but this isn't necessarily for learning. This is just to kind of drill it in your head to get the repetition in. And again, she was kind of frustrated going through the process, and she was studying. She was doing a lot of things. But then she did start listening to the MP3 review, and she actually started listening to it as we went to sleep. So I just remember little bits and pieces. Maybe we're talking about a transaction broker relationship, and it's the default relationship in Florida. Those things will stay with you. So maybe that's good because there's a lot of information. What's really tested on this exam, and this is one of the ways that we know what's actually important. It's not just from students that we've worked with that are struggling with certain concepts that they remember from their exam or anything like that. It's also from us just paying attention to the Florida Real Estate Commission and what they deem important. What laws and rules and practices and principles are they most concerned with? Because that's what the Florida Real Estate Commission is going to test the heaviest on this exam. So that's the simplest way to just lean in a little bit more. And actually, one of the things it's not really part of our pass first try strategy, because when we made the pass first try strategy, we didn't really think of a step should be to understand tips and tricks, because the tips and tricks will help with that extra slight edge. But overall, it is about the knowledge of this information. But those tips and tricks can give you a little bump. So we actually came out more recently with a course called The Secrets of the Exam. And The Secrets of the Exam is really great because it actually breaks down the whole theory behind this exam. And it's a short course. It's I think overall it'll take you like 2 hours to get through the whole thing. But it breaks down why this exam is here, what the Florida Real Estate Commission's goals are, how they're wording questions to achieve those goals there, and what are the different ways they structure this exam so you know the types of questions to expect, how to structure your study. So we include that Secrets of our Exam course with our Pass First Try bundle now, because even though it's not a necessary step in remembering the information, it's going to help you get more momentum and go through this faster. So definitely. And Becca, call our office, 813-333-2676. They'll be able to look up your registration and see if we could go right there. But yeah, the MP3 and also the Weekend Review, John. Yeah, definitely. So the Weekend Review, that is... like I said, I think the most automated one is definitely the MP3. And I like automations. I like efficiency. I like being able to have something just going on in the background without me having to actively work on it, but still be able to study. And that's what the MP3 does. With this question simulator, the question simulator is great. But the thing with the question simulator is you have to be actively engaged in paying attention to it. If you're kind of just, half paying attention to it, you're really not getting the most out of this. So this is something you need to pay attention to. And then really you have our study tool that's kind of the middle ground that's there to achieve this fourth step in the strategy, which the fourth step in the Pass First Try strategy is to be confident and prepared. Now, why is that important that you're confident and prepared for this exam? Because if you're not confident and prepared, this exam is designed to make you want to second guess yourself, to make you question whether you really know what you think you know. And some great examples I could give you. If you've already taken a pre-licensing course, especially with me, if you've taken one of my evening classes, I always like to point out the differences between what people commonly generally think is the accepted way of doing things versus what the actual law says and what the Florida Real Estate Commission actually requires regarding certain concepts or whatever. And this exam is designed to really poke at that. One of the other categories for exemptions we didn't mention at the beginning, so also if you're an attorney in good standing with the Florida Bar, that is the one other option that exempts you from learning the information, but again, you still have to pass the exam. We've had lots of attorneys purchase our study tools before, take our courses, so you'll be more than welcome at Tampa School of Real Estate, even though you're not necessarily required to take any of that information. So that's attorneys and people with a 4-year real estate degree. But even if you have that exemption from the course, you still need to be able to do all the stuff we've been talking about here when it comes to the exam. And that 50% pass rate, again, that's not our school pass rate. I always like to emphasize that because I'd put money on it that our pass rate is higher. And we have a lot of students too, so that's saying a lot. But that's because of the way we structure our curriculum, the way we're not trying to overcomplicate things. Our number one core value at Tampa School of Real Estate, we have a whole set of core values, but our number one core value is to keep it simple. Because anyone could overcomplicate something. This course, this curriculum, this content, this whole concept of real estate is already super complicated. The only way you're going to be able to pass this exam is being able to simplify this down. And when you can simplify stuff down, that's what's going to help make you confident and prepared for your real estate exam. And what's great about the weekend prep recording, it's kind of similar to the MP3 in terms of it's something that's, a little bit more passive, but it's actually going to be a little bit more interactive. It's not quite as, you've got to click around and do stuff like you do with the question simulator, but it's something that you have the opportunity to interact with the video. Now, you're going to be talking to your computer screen with talking to a recording, but doing that, actually, you verbalizing this information actually unlocks this certain part of your brain. We could go into explaining the detail, or we could keep it simple and just say it works. And again, little things like that we try to work into this to make this process easier. Because when you're starting a new career, and I know because most people don't just, easily kind of just walk into real estate. Usually they're coming from something that hasn't been working for them. Maybe it worked before, but it's not quite what you thought it would be. Or maybe there were some opportunities that looked like they were going to happen, but then, maybe things didn't really happen. Or whatever it is where what you thought you were getting into wasn't really something that would benefit you, and now you're looking at real estate. I know because, again, that was my story. I grew up in real estate. My family has a long history of real estate. I didn't want to be in real estate. I was maybe interested in being maybe an investor, but I didn't want to get a real estate license. I didn't want to practice real estate. I didn't want to be a real estate broker. Here I am now, also as a real estate instructor. But before this happened, I went to school, got a good job. I'm from that generation, which I don't know if that's still what they tell the kids today, but back in my day, it was go to school, get a good job. That's essential. You're a burden on society if you don't go to school and get a good job. You're a failure if you don't go to school and get a good job. And so that's what's indoctrinated into you, so that's what I did. And I didn't really want to do real estate, so I was like, you know what, yeah, that, because I probably could have, just went right into real estate, but I wanted to try to make something more, bigger, and different. So that was my story, but I ended up being 5 years in corporate America, and it wasn't 5 years before I got fed up with it. It was 5 years before I was able to escape it. But my escape route was through real estate. And what it was for me was things not moving fast enough, things being out of my control, me knowing there's a better way to keep things simpler, to do things more efficiently, to be able to make more money faster. But there was so much that was out of my control because I wasn't my own boss. I didn't have the capability to call all the shots and make the decisions. Now, yes, there is some degree that you have to learn to follow before it is you can learn to lead. But at some point, you have to take that leap of faith into something you might not be sure whether or not it will work, because that's what I did. I wasn't sure whether real estate would work because I knew that there's a lot of people with a real estate license. A lot of people that might not do much with a real estate license. A lot of people that might just have a real estate license on the side. People that try to make real estate work, but then for some reason they don't have the right information, they're not at the right brokerage, they're not in the right environment, they don't know how to handle situations, they don't have a coach, they don't have a mentor, they don't have somebody guiding and helping them along. And that could result in some horror story that you might have heard of with people. But then at the same time, there's so many success stories and people making 6 and 7 figures and even more through real estate. And it's in your hands. That's the part that I really like about it. If you're the type of person that wants things to be done for you and you don't want to be in charge, real estate might not be the best fit, not as a realtor. Now, some positions that might be a great fit for you is maybe working at an owner-developer. Because an owner-developer, like a home builder, is a situation where you have more of like a job. You have more of a career as opposed to running your own business. But in that sales type of career at a home builder, there's a lot of money to be made there as well. Just not as much as there is through real estate brokerage. And real estate brokerage leads to a lot of other opportunities because there's a lot more opportunity for connections, especially if you're looking to get into investing in real estate. There's no better way to get into investing in real estate. And that was my thing. When I was, I wanted to be involved in real estate, but again, I didn't want to broker real estate. I didn't want to get a real estate license. I wanted to just be a real estate investor. I tried the real estate wholesaling, the contract flipping, and all that type of stuff. And I thought that was the cool thing to do. Yeah, I don't need a real estate license. I'm just going to be an investor because then I could say I'm an investor. But if you really want to make big money as an investor, you don't necessarily need big money, but you need some decent money to get started to really make some shifts. So how do you leapfrog yourself to that point where you can be an investor? Well, you have to bank up a bunch of cash. Some level. There's some level out there. Yes, there's some ways to get into real estate, no money down, but a lot of times it's not practical or realistic. And there's going to be some cash involved to begin investing in real estate. What better way to raise that capital so you don't have to try to pull off some unicorn, no money down deal that might not be able to work, but you could confidently go in and buy a property cash. You bank up enough commission checks, you could do that. And in the process, you could be working with investors, learning from them, being there side by side with them, helping along with the process and doing your part of what information you can provide. No one's just going to give you a free ride and just say, hey, come on, and you just do nothing, and I'm going to pay you 3% commission, and you're just going to make a bunch of money and learn about real estate in the process. No, you've got to bring value to the table, which requires knowledge. You got to have a real estate license to be able to earn that commission. And in order to get the real estate license, you have to have the knowledge to be able to pass this exam, but you also need to know that you have this knowledge. Because if you are second-guessing yourself, you're very likely to pick more so that common sense answer as opposed to the question you might remember from the course or the concept you might remember for the course. That's actually the number one study tool, the number one study tip that I would give anybody, and it's actually in our Secrets of the Exam course, is if you don't remember it from the course, it's not your answer. If you don't remember it from the course, it's not your answer. If something might sound really good, but if you don't remember that versus something you do remember, go with the thing that you do remember. Because remember, this is a test on do you know this information from the course. Again, not how smart you are, not how intelligent you are, not how good of a test taker you are. Now again, all of these pass first try study tools are all designed around this pass first try exam prep strategy here. So again, ultimately, 4 tools overall make up this strategy. It starts with the secrets of the exam. I would start with this number 1 first, because this is going to be your test-taking strategies, your exam tips, how the exam is structured, how it's worded, what it is that you need to know before it is that you start studying wrong, because you don't want to waste time studying wrong. And that's why we include the Secrets of the Exam course as part of our Pass First Try package here, because this is going to help you understand how to use all those study tools in the best possible way. And then also it does cover a little bit of the licensing process in the event that you're still in the process of getting that all figured out. You've got our MP3 audio review. That's what I would work on while you're actually in the course. This, you could listen to this as many times as you need to. You're not going to wear it out. It's 5 hours, and in the time it could take you to go through the course twice. You know, we get people that come to us and they ask us that question of, hey, can I take the course a second time? And we do sell something called an audit, where you don't necessarily need the course for credit, but you want to go through it again. But we only usually recommend that when it's been, over a year or 18 months since you've taken the course, and maybe your course completion's about to expire, so you don't need the completion, but you completely forgot everything. But that's, 63 hours to go through that information. You could go through this MP3 12 times. This is a 5 hour, not even 5 hours, so you could probably even make it through like 13 times in the time it would take to go through that class again. And it's not going to be as in-depth. It's not going to cover everything that the course does, but what it is going to do is focus on the key points that are most important for the exam. And then you want to move on to step number 3, to test your knowledge with the question simulator. And again, this has over 700 practice questions. You get instant feedback that pops up after every single question. It's a little pop-up that goes up there, and it's not just, hey, you're wrong. It's, hey, that's not quite right. A transaction broker relationship is the default relationship in Florida, and it always has the duty to disclose material defects. So it's focusing on those things you need to remember rather than focusing on the specifics of the scenario that is unique to that question. And then number 4, and I do recommend saving this one for last. So this one can be beneficial as well because it's broken down by unit. Everything here is broken down by unit. And so what's beneficial about the weekend prep recording is since it is broken down by unit, maybe you just covered something in your course in an instructor-led class and you're like, that didn't make the most sense. I need to go through that again. You could go and hit that weekend prep recording for that unit and have a much more condensed review of what's important, because maybe the stuff that was confusing you wasn't even stuff that's necessarily important for the exam. And no sense trying to understand completely some small detail that might not even be important for the exam and also might not be important in the real world unless you're maybe practicing a specific type of real estate, which if you are, then yeah, go for it for understanding that further. But one thing at a time, keeping priorities in mind. That's where you want to be careful with not overwhelming yourself. And that's the problem with, just saying, I'm going to take this whole book, I'm going to take this whole textbook here, and I'm just going to learn this thing inside and out. I've been teaching this for years, and I still don't know this content inside and out like that. I know it actually pretty well. And I'm confident I could go in there and pass the exam on the first try. But it's not because of my test taking abilities. It's not because of anything other than the fact that I know the information. And if you know the information and that you're confident that you know this information, you're in a really good position to be able to pass this exam. But that weekend prep recording is to help you build your confidence. That, like the MP3, you could go through as many times as you need to be able to make yourself confident, prepared, and ready for this. You could also even change the speed. So maybe I talk too fast for you, you could slow it down. Maybe I don't talk fast enough, you could speed it up. So that's a really great tool. You could also rewind it, you could skip around, pause it, you could jump right back into anywhere it is that you leave off. There's also a workbook. We've got an online copy of this workbook that you get instantly, but we actually also mail you a copy of this. I don't have one in the studio here right now, but it's actually a really nice professionally printed workbook. It's not just something that we're throwing together here at the office, although when we first launched this program, when we first wrote our own workbook, we actually were just printing them off and binding them here at the office, but actually no, now it's a professionally printed product. And the thing is, this curriculum is something that we've crafted not around what the FREC tells us that we have to teach in the course, but around what information that's important for the exam. This course, none of this information gives you any credit for taking the exam, which is why we don't have to follow the Florida Real Estate Commission's syllabus, especially for the things that aren't as important for your exam. So again, this is there to keep things simple. Yes, it's great to know all that information, but that's unrealistic. And you're going to quickly get overwhelmed and then realize this is more so the path it is that you have to go down, just simply because there is so much information to learn. So I want to check out the Facebook chat here, see what questions you guys have here. John, how likely would I be to pass the state exam if I'm averaging 87 to 92 on the question simulator? So that's actually a great question, John, there. So that question simulator, what's really cool about it is you could take questions by unit, or you could do a 100 question practice exam, and that exam will actually blend together the units according to the percentages on the FREC syllabus. So we do follow the FREC syllabus in terms of what's important for the exam, because we have the percentages from the Florida Real Estate Commission of each chapter, and that's programmed into the diagnostic or the 100 question practice test in that question simulator. And when you get the question simulator, you want to start out using that practice test to maybe do a diagnostic to see what areas you need to focus on, and then dive into those units there. But now going back to your question, if you're getting 87 to 92, now going by what the exam requires, the state exam requires a 75% to pass. Class exam is a 70%. So 87 to 92, if you get an 87 to 92 or anything above that or anything above a 75 on your state exam, you will be passing. But now the question is this question simulator an indicator of whether or not I'll pass? Because maybe you do get an 87 to 92 on here, but here's the catch with this. And my question would be, have you gone through it so much that you're seeing the questions again? Because that's really the only thing I would say that you could do wrong with the question simulator. And it's not necessarily wrong, but it's just the point of where it's not going to be as good of a predictor of being able to pass the exam. So when all the questions in there are brand new to you, and there's a lot of questions in there. There's over 700 questions, so it's going to take some time before you get through all of those questions. But once you've gone through all those questions and they're no longer new to you, if while you're answering these questions, you're remembering that question, Now, if you're just remembering the key point, that's great. That's what you're supposed to be remembering. But if you remember, oh, this question is C or this question is B, and it shuffles the answer, so it wouldn't just be C or B, it would be, oh, this one is this. But if you're just that connected and just that in specific and in tune with the specifics of the question, then that's maybe where I'd hesitate a little bit there just to see if that 87 to 92 really is accurate. But if these questions still seem kind of vague and unfamiliar to you and kind of fresh, that it's not like, oh, I've seen this so many times, I just have memorized the answer. If you're memorizing the key points rather than memorizing the answer, yes, you're in great shape there if you're getting 87 to 92 at that point. But if you've gone through it so much where you're testing on it again and again and again, what I would do at that point is take a break from the question simulator, maybe listen to the MP3, maybe do the weekend prep if you have either of those tools. We've even got some really great YouTube videos of Ask the Instructor for any of the math or anything like that. The weekend prep's a really great thing, especially as you're on the final stretch for your actual state exam. That will help you clear up a lot of the confusions you might have about certain topics, so that would definitely be something. But that's what I would say there. If the question simulator is starting to seem like you've seen these questions so many times, and if you go all in on the simulator, that could definitely happen after using it quite a bit once you've gone through all those questions. But then just take a step back, maybe do some of the other stuff, and then go take another test and see if you're still testing in that range. And if you are, I would say you're definitely in great shape there. So look, we're going to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we'll be covering a little bit more about the pass first try strategy, so stick with us. My name is John Carissimo. You're watching Ask the Instructor. Are you studying for your Florida real estate exam? If you are, you need to check out our pass first try strategy. You're going to love this. It's 4 steps that we break down the process to study for your Florida real estate exam. So you're set up to pass your Florida real estate exam because that's what you're studying for, right? To pass your exam. It's 4 steps. Number 1, you learn the information. You've got to learn this to be able to pass the exam, but it doesn't stop at learning. Step 2, you've got to reinforce the basic, simple, key concepts. As you learn this information, keep reviewing the simple things. You don't need to know everything, but you got to review these basic key concepts. Step 3, you've got to test your knowledge. The exam's going to test your knowledge, so if you don't test your knowledge in advance, you won't find out if you know what you think you know until you take the exam. And then step 4 is be confident and prepared, because even if you know this material, you need to be confident that you know the material. Check out the full strategy at passfirsttry.com. That's passfirsttry.com. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of Ask the Instructor. My name is John Carissimo. The show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate every Wednesday, 12:30 Eastern Time. If you guys like today's episode, we do these shows based around what information is going to be most beneficial to you. So if you like this information, hit that thumbs up button. That's how we could gauge what information you guys like the most and want to find out more of. And if you want to make sure you don't miss out on any of this information we provide, and it's not just about passing your exam. If you've already got your real estate license, we do a lot of information and content about how to use that real estate license. Your open houses, door knocking, cold calling, post licensing, using a website, CRMs, lead generation, all the things it is that you want to know to build a successful real estate career. That's what we're on a mission to do here. Not just to get you through a course, not just to sell you study tools, not just to get you to pass an exam, but to be able to open the door to the opportunities that exist in real estate and take advantage of those opportunities because you know how. So definitely subscribe to the channel, hit that bell icon if you haven't already. But getting back to our pass first try strategy here, again, just to sum up again, number 1, you want to learn the information. And I would recommend, and we actually right now we're running a promo. If you sign up for our pre-licensing course, any one of our pre-licensing courses, right now we've got a promo where we give away the secrets of the exam with your course at no extra charge. It's an $87 course on its own if you want to buy it separately, but that's actually included with our pre-licensing courses right now. So that's a really great thing to do before you're even taking the class, because this is a really good introduction to the whole purpose of this process and how to make this as pain-free, as stress-free, as simple and easy as possible. And then when it comes to, again, start studying, start using an MP3 review to reinforce and review as you're learning the information. So that way when you get to chapter 10, you're not forgetting about what's in chapter 1. When you're getting to chapter 5, you haven't forgot about what's in chapter 2. Because you're reviewing that to keep the information fresh, because if you don't use it, you lose it. Then number 3, you're using the question simulator to test your knowledge, to see if you know what you think you know, to be confident and prepared about the information. And if the question simulator, you getting a bunch of stuff right, isn't enough to make you confident and prepared, that's where the Weekend Prep will come in. The Weekend Prep is a great tool for making you confident and prepared because it's our most comprehensive out of all of our study tools here. This is a 16-hour recording of an actual weekend review class. And why this is so much better than actually taking a physical class is, again, all these study tools you have 180-day access to use them as much as you need to. You could repeat, you could slow it down. I remember that, what was that Adam Sandler movie with the remote where you could like pause life and rewind and slow things down? Some cheesy Adam Sandler movie, like all his movies. But anyways, we can't do that in real life. But with the magic of video and camera, we could do that. And we don't, just make some little crappy little webcam recording when you can't hear anything. We take our production value seriously here at the Tampa School of Real Estate, if you haven't been able to tell already. But anyways, that is our pass first try strategy. Again, all of these study tools are all designed to work on basically any sort of device, whether it be a computer, you could use this on your phone, any one of these tools, the question simulator, the Weekend Prep recording. We actually, again, ship you a physical copy of this actual Weekend Prep workbook. I know the lighting in here, you can't really see it that well on it, but this is actually a really nice book. It's about, I think, 120 pages, so it's not like any great big textbook. It's designed to be simple, it's designed to be short and to the point, and it follows along exactly with our Weekend Prep curriculum here. So that way you can actually interact with this information. You're writing down and taking notes and filling out your book as you're going through this Weekend Prep class. You're verbalizing the things it is that you're writing down, so it's hitting on all those different types of learning styles. There's a lot, again, that we've done to try to make these tools as effective as we possibly can. And results show we've done a pretty good job of doing that. We've helped a lot of people go through this process and pass their real estate exams. Now, this is not essential to passing your real estate exams. This is not required at all. And again, if you have a 4-year real estate degree or you're an attorney, just go pass the exam. Go get your application approved with the DVPR, pass the exam, you got a license. If you don't have a 4-year real estate degree, all you're required to do is take a pre-licensing course. And again, in that pre-licensing course, you will learn all that information, but now, are you prepared for the exam? Can you remember this information? Has it been a while since you've taken the course? Because if it's been a while, these study tools might be your saving grace that saves you from having to go through the whole class all over again. This might just be enough to reignite what it is that you've already learned to make sure you remember it. Now, that is a little bit more work if you've already forgotten this. So what's ideal is using these study tools as you're learning this information. Again, starting right out with that MP3 that you can listen to on your phone, whatever it is. There's no thing to download, even though it's called an MP3. Nothing to download, just something you log into online, and it's a great little audio review. Again, helps you automate the studying. So that's our pass first try strategy. You can actually find out more details on it at passfirsttry.com. Jim Carrey movie. Okay, I guess I'm confused. I don't know how I confused Jim Carrey and Adam Sandler. They're not really too similar. But anyways, point being, we don't have some remote to just fast forward an actual class when you're live sitting there in person in front of an instructor. It doesn't work that way. But that's what's so great about that Weekend Prep recording there is just being able to go back. Maybe you missed something. Hey, that's okay. You can go through it again and again and again and again and again until you don't miss anything. To where you absorb every last and squeeze every little drop of information you possibly can. You have the capability to do that because you got 6 months unlimited access to all of these study tools here. So look, that's about all the time it is that we've got for today. I want to thank you guys for joining me here today to learn more about our Pass First Try study tools and what it is that we recommend that you do, the strategy that we recommend. And again, you could implement this strategy of learn the information, review the key points, test your knowledge, and be confident and prepared. You don't necessarily need our study tools to do that. These are just designed to make that process as simple and easy as possible. If you like simple, you like easy, we make simple and easy affordable. Go to passfirsttry.com. There's demos of all the study tools. You could actually try them out and figure out if this is something that would benefit for you. I think it will be. I highly recommend it, although I am a little bit biased because it is me in the Weekend Prep. It is me in the MP3 review, and I did help write a lot of those questions in the question simulator. So if you do like watching my videos here on the internet, then great. You'll love these study tools because now it's just so much more refined and designed into a curriculum that's intentional for passing your real estate exam. So definitely check that out again at passfirsttry.com. promotionalmaterial.com, or you can call us at 813-333-2676. We actually have some great bundle packages if you still need your pre-licensing course. And if you also want to get your post-licensing course bundled into that as well, we actually have even better savings with our complete Jumpstart bundle. So call us at 813-333-2676. We have advisors standing by to answer any questions you have and assist you in any way it is that we can. It's about all the time we've got for today. Again, hit that thumbs up if you've liked today's episode and you want to see more content like this. And remember to ring that bell so you get notifications whenever it is that we go live. We'll be back Friday at 12:30. We'll be here Friday. We're always here on Friday. I don't know why I'm saying Saturday. We'll be here Friday, 12:30 for State of Real Estate, our weekly mastermind to grow your real estate business, where we focus more on the topics that you need to know of how to use your real estate license. So make sure you join us Friday at 12:30. But until then, I'll see you. You guys have a great day, and I'll see you Friday.
The most powerful tool to study for your real estate exam is the Question Simulator from Tampa School of Real Estate. We've used our years of experience in preparing students for the Florida real estate exam to bring you the most powerful exam study tool available. In the Question Simulator, you'll be able to go directly to a particular unit so you can focus on the sections where you need the most practice. We have also included the percentages of each unit so you know which units are the most important for your real estate exam. Every question will immediately give you detailed feedback, which is almost always more important than the question or the answer themselves. After completing all the questions in a particular unit, you can go through question by question and review any that you've gotten wrong. You could also print out a report at the end of each quiz. The Question Simulator from Tampa School of Real Estate is 100% mobile compatible, so you can practice with test questions anywhere you have your phone with you. Enroll now at questionsimulator.com and get ready to pass your exam.
Hey, so if you're thinking about starting a real estate career, it could feel a little overwhelming sometimes. Look, that's completely understandable. That's why we're here to help. If you haven't already, check out our Success Center, tampaschool.com/success. Or if you don't even know where to begin, give us a call. We'd love to help you out. We've got advisors standing by to answer any questions you have and assist you in any way it is that we can. Our phone number is 813-928-0106. Again, that's 813-928-0106. Give us a call. We're the Tampa School of Real Estate.
Do you want a career that allows you to be in control? With a career in real estate, you'll get to call the shots. Whether you're looking at starting part-time or want to become the next top agent, a career in real estate makes it possible. Find out what it takes at tampaschool.com. Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
Are you thinking about a career in real estate? Hey, I'm John Chrisma with the Tampa School of Real Estate, and we've helped thousands of people just like you obtain their real estate license. If you're thinking about a career in real estate, give us a call. The phone number is 813-928-0106. Our advisors are standing by to answer any questions you have and assist you in any way they can. Hey, if you're enjoying the show today, which I'm sure you are, be sure to hit like, subscribe, post your comments, share with your friends and family. Thank you guys so much for watching.